The distress signal pulsed through the quiet void for 37 days before anyone noticed. Not because space was crowded, quite the opposite. Humanity had withdrawn to its cradle system centuries ago, turning inward after the Great Expansion, nearly tore their civilization apart. Commander Jack Reed stood on the observation deck of the ancient orbital defense platform, vigilant, staring at the blinking alert on his console. His weathered face reflected in the reinforced glass as he gazed out toward the stars. "Verify again," he ordered, his voice carrying the weight of someone who had spent too many years watching empty sensor screens. Lieutenant Emma Torres nodded, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "Confirmed, sir. Distress beacon, non-human origin. Pattern matches Galactic Union standard protocol. Signal strength suggests a large vessel in serious trouble." Reed's jaw tightened. The Galactic Union, a coalition of 17 spacefaring species. Humanity had helped found it, then abandoned it 200 years ago. Relations remained formally cordial but practically non-existent. Location? The Vega Transit Corridor, sir. About 6 light days from our outer monitoring buoys. Reed's eyes narrowed. That was far beyond their defensive perimeter. After the isolation accords, humanity had pledged non-interference in galactic affairs in exchange for being left alone. The war machines that once patrolled half the galaxy had been mothballed, their crews reassigned to Earth's defensive shell. "Regulations are clear," said the station's AI, Marcus. Paragraph 7.3 of the Isolation Accords. Earth forces shall not venture beyond designated boundaries except in cases of direct threat to human sovereignty. Reed stared at the pulsing distress signal. "How many life signs?" Emma hesitated. "Over 3,000, sir." Reed closed his eyes. 3,000 souls crying out for help, and protocol said to let them die. He thought of his grandfather's stories, tales of when human ships sailed proudly through the stars, when Earth was, no, not just for its military might, but for always answering the call when others were in danger. "Sir," Emma said quietly, "the nearest Union patrol is 18 days out at maximum speed. The beacon indicates they have life support for only 11. Reed made his decision. "Contact Admiral Grant. Tell her to dust off the 7th Fleet. Admiral." Lisa Grant hadn't commanded a real mission in 15 years. Now she stood on the bridge of the UNSV Thunderchild, the massive dreadnought humming with power as ancient systems came back online. "Status report," she demanded, watching as her bridge crew, hastily assembled from the defense forces, worked to remember their training on these old warships. "Main drives at 93% capacity," reported Officer Mike Wilson. "Weapon systems charging. Hull integrity optimal despite the years in storage. The old girl remembers her purpose. The 7th Fleet had once been humanity's pride. 5 dreadnoughts and their support vessels designed to project Earth's power across the stars. Now they represented something humanity had tried to forget. Their capacity for both tremendous destruction and salvation. "Fleet reports ready, Admiral," said Communications Officer Alex Rivera. "All ships awaiting your command." Grant nodded, feeling the weight of authority settle back on her shoulders. "Set course for the distress beacon. Maximum speed." The engines roared to life, and for the first time in 2 centuries, human warships broke through the invisible boundary that had contained them, accelerating toward distant stars. On the crippled Union vessel Harmony of Worlds, Captain Trell watched his crew working frantically to maintain life support. The massive diplomatic ship, carrying representatives from 12 species to an important summit, had suffered catastrophic drive failure after hitting an uncharted spatial anomaly. "Power reserves at 18%, reported his first officer. "Ven, at current consumption, we have 9 days of life support remaining." Trell's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture of resignation among his people. "Keep transmitting the distress call. The Union fleet—" "Sir," interrupted the sensor. "Operator. Multiple objects approaching at high velocity. Configuration unknown." Trell moved to the sensor display. Merchant rescue, perhaps? Or pirate sensing prey? The sensor operator's skin paled. "Sir, these are warships. Massive ones." A chill swept through the bridge. In this region, warships could only mean one thing. Humans, whispered. Then, but they withdrew centuries ago. The communications panel chimed. We're receiving a transmission. This is Admiral Lisa Grant of the United Earth Navy's 7th Fleet. We've received your distress call and are approaching to render assistance. Please transmit your status and requirements. The reply was delayed, filled with static. Human. Vessels, this is Captain Trell of the Union ship Harmony of Worlds. We are surprised by your arrival. Our engines have failed and life support is critical. Grant nodded to her engineers. Prepare towing cables and emergency support teams. We'll need to stabilize their life support first, then get them moving. Admiral, interrupted her tactical officer. 6 Union ships have altered course and are now heading toward our position. They appear to be military vessels. Grant frowned. Time to intercept? They'll reach us 4 hours after we rendezvous with the distressed ship. Maintain course. Alert the fleet to be prepared for anything, but weapons tight. We're here to help, not start an incident. The sight of 5 human dreadnoughts surrounding the crippled diplomatic vessel sent shockwaves through the Union. News traveled faster than light through the network of communications buoys. By the time the Union military vessels arrived, human engineers had already stabilized the Harmony's life support and were preparing it for towing. Admiral Krav of the Union Security Force approached cautiously, hailing the human fleet. This is unexpected, Admiral Grant. Humans have not ventured beyond Sol for 2 centuries. Grant's face remained impassive on the view screen. We heard a call for help. We answered. The Accords can be discussed later, Grant interrupted. Right now we have 3,000 people who need medical attention and a ship that needs repairs. Will you assist or shall we handle this ourselves? There was a long pause. We will assist, Krav finally replied. 3 weeks later, Commander Reed watched the 7th Fleet return to Earth orbit, followed by a single Union vessel. Not military, but diplomatic. The news had spread throughout the galaxy. The sleeping giants of Earth had awakened not for war but for rescue. The Union Council had voted unanimously to formally invite humanity to rejoin galactic affairs. Reed watched as shuttles departed from the diplomatic vessel, carrying Union representatives, to Earth for the first substantive talks in centuries. Emma stood beside him. Do you think we'll go back out there, sir? To stay this time? Reed nodded slowly. I think we remembered something important, Lieutenant. Sometimes the greatest strength isn't in how well you fight, but in when you choose to help. As they watched, the twinkling stars beyond Earth's defensive perimeter suddenly seemed less distant than they had in a very long time.